Okay, so I'm going to start. I know we've done this. We looked at this last time, but this is the skills that we're going to be, the two skills that we're going to be using today, because we're going to be just expanding expressions, looking at expanding expressions. Is, and of course my pen won't work, is multiplying terms together or multiplying expressions together, and then collecting like terms. So a bit of a revision from what we've already done, but these are the two main skills we're going to be using today when we look at expanding some of these expressions in a minute. So just quickly, multiplying two terms together. Remember, you can multiply any two terms together. So if I'm going to look at example A, or question A, 2 times by 3x. Who reckons they know what the answer to that is? Call it out.
6x.
Good, 6x. Just the 2 by the 3, 2 times 3, and there's 1x there. We'll just bring the x down. What about minus 4 times by 5x? Negative 20x. Can everybody see how we got that? Just by multiplying those two terms together, yeah? Straightforward. What about, and this is a little bit different. So now I've got x times by 2x. Actually, before someone calls out the answer, this first term x, what's the coefficient of x there? 1. Awesome. So it's 1x times by 2x, which is 2x. What's x times x? X squared. Good. And then minus x times by 4x would be? Good. Minus 4x squared. Alright, so that's multiplying terms. Remember, any two terms you can multiply together. Today, all our variables will be x. Okay, so if you ever have x times x, then it will be x squared. Alright, other than that, you're just multiplying the coefficients together. Pretty straightforward, yeah? Alright, the only part that sort of people get tricked with is the negative times a positive is obviously a negative. Negative times a negative is a positive, etc. Anyway, collecting like terms. Now, like terms. Who can tell me what a like term is? Like terms have... Sorry?
Terms that are alike.
How are they like?
They have the same number or the same x.
Not the same number. They have the same... Yeah, they have the same variable. And today, the variables will be x. Right? So, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs of like terms here, and they're all like terms because they both have, in each case, the same variable x. Alright, so all I'm going to do is collect them by either adding them or subtracting them. So this would be 3x take 21x, which would be good. So negative 18x. It's just 3 take 21. Okay, and I've got still the same variable x. 12x take 5x. Sorry? 7x, good. 12 take 5 is 7. Just got the x there. Minus 3x plus 8x. Good. 5x. And, you know, actually, I'm just going to change this a little bit. I'm going to make that negative 5x squared. Maybe I'm too zoomed in to do that. Squared. And negative 8x squared. They're still like terms because they both have an x squared variable. So minus 5x squared take 8x squared is good. Negative 13x squared. So just a quick revision. They're the two skills you're going to be using today, but hopefully you know how to multiply terms already and you know how to collect like terms already, yeah? Something we've also looked at today, looked at previously, and then we're going to have a go at today, is expanding simple expressions using the distributive law. We spoke about this last term. The distributive law, remember, is you multiply the term in front of the bracket with each term inside the bracket. So starting with example A, I've got negative 3 in brackets x take 5. So the term in front of the bracket is negative 3. How many terms inside the bracket? 2. Good. So I'm going to start by doing negative 3 times by x, which is what? Good. Negative 3x. And then I'm going to do negative 3 times by negative 5. Remember, the term includes the sign in front of it. So it's negative 3 times negative 5, which is positive 15, so I'd write plus 15. Okay? How many terms am I left with here? Are they like terms? No, so I can't collect them. So that's as far as I can go. The next example, which is B, I've got 2x in brackets 1 take x. Again, the term in front of the bracket is 2x. How many terms inside the bracket? There's 2. Remember, a term is separated by but includes the plus and subtraction sign. So 1 is my first term inside the bracket, and negative x is the second term inside the bracket. Okay, so I start by doing 2x times 1, which is just 2x. And then 2x times by negative x, which is negative 2x squared. Yeah, good. Negative 2x. Good. Thanks, girls. All right, I'm going to do one more example and then actually get you guys to do some work, and then we'll come back, or maybe pause the video and come back. But there's this last one I'm going to show you, D. I won't go through C. It's basically just got a fraction at the front of the bracket. It's the same process. Anyway, I'm going to move on to this one here, which is a little bit longer, but we're going to break it down. So it's x at the front. I've got 2x, take 1, take x, in brackets 3, take x. And I'm just going to separate this into two parts. I'm going to do this first part, just like we have with those first two examples. And then I'm going to do the second part. But just have, the multiplied terms, I guess, adding on to each other. So I'm going to start with x times by 2x, which is 2x squared. Good. Thanks for the audience participation. X take 1. Oh, sorry. X times by minus 1. My apologies. Negative 1x. Good. Or just negative x. Good. And then, so I've done that. I've expanded the brackets here. I'm going to move on to the bit I've highlighted in green. So again, the term in front, which is negative x, times by positive 3. Good. Negative 3x. And then it's negative x times by negative x. Negative x squared. Positive x squared. Good. Alright. At this point, guys, how many terms do I have here in this expression? 4 terms. Are any of those terms like terms? Yes? Alright, so let me get my highlighter out and change colour. Let's do a light blue. Who can tell me which terms are like terms? Lily. 2x squared and positive x squared. And are there any other ones? Negative x and negative 3x. Alright, so we can collect those like terms. And we're going to collect them based on whether they're positive or negative terms. We're just going to add or subtract them based on that. So, I'm going to start with 2x squared plus 1x squared, which gives me 3x squared. And then I'm going to do negative 1x. Remember, there's a 1 there. Take 3x, which is, we're just moving, so we're just doing minus 1, take 3. Negative 4x. Okay. It only becomes a positive if we have 2 negative signs next to each other. Alright? Or if we're multiplying 2 negatives. So here we're just doing a minus 1, take 3. So that's my final answer there. My final expanded version of this expression is 3x squared, take 4x. So I've gone from something that looks quite complicated to just a 2-term expression. So I might just pause it there and get you guys to do some questions. Next type of factorizing we're going to look at is when we see like 2 sets of brackets. So rather than just one term in front of a bracket, I've now got two sets of brackets there. And this is still the distributive law, but I use the acronym here to help me. It's called the FOIL rule. So the FOIL rule tells us to multiply the terms in the following order. So F stands for first, so we multiply the first term from each bracket. O stands for outer, so we multiply the outer term from each bracket. I stands for inner, so again the inner term from each bracket, and then the last term from each bracket. So we just do those things in that order, and if there are any like terms at the end, then we collect them. So let's start with that first example, which is x plus 5, bracket, x plus 4. So the first term in each bracket, I'm doing x times by x, which is what? X squared. And then I'm going to do the outer term from each bracket. So the terms that are on the outer, I guess x and positive 4. So x times 4 is, anybody? X times 4?
4.
Good. Then I'm going to do the inner terms. So now it's 5 times x, thank you gentlemen, which is positive 5x. And then I'm going to do the last term from each bracket, which is 5 times by positive 4. Sorry, it's a little bit messy there, which is 5 times 4 is 20. This one's a little bit easier because both the signs inside those brackets, they're both positive signs. So all my terms are positive. And then I can look at my, well, now 4 terms I've got there and add any like terms. In this case, I've got 4x and 5x, which are like terms. I can add those together. Remember, x squared is not considered a like term with those two terms because it's x squared is different to just x by itself. So simplify that by adding those two. I'm still left with x squared. 4x plus 5x is 9x. And then I'm still left with positive 20 at the end. Whoops, sorry guys. So positive 20. Okay? So that's the process. First, outers, inners, last. Let's do one more. In fact, what I won't do. Maybe I won't do that one because there's a lot there. But x take 4 all squared looks like this. X take 4 bracket x take 4, and then just follow the process. Okay. First, outers, inners, last. Collect any like terms. I will do this example though. C. So I've got 2x plus 1. 2x take 1. So again, I'm going to start with the first term from each bracket. I'm not going to draw the arrows this time, but the first term in the first bracket is 2x. The first term here is 2x. So 2x times 2x is 4x squared. Then I'm going to do the outer term from each bracket. So 2x times by negative 1. So take 2x. And then I'm going to do the inner term, or inner two terms. So positive 1 times by 2x is plus 2x. And I'm going to do the last term from each bracket, which is positive 1 times by negative 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Positive times a negative is negative. So it's negative 1. Again, I'm left with 4 terms because you're doing basically 4 sets of multiplication. Collect those like terms. I have negative 2x and positive 2x. What is negative 2x plus 2x? 0. So I'm actually cancelling those out altogether. I'm then left with 4x squared take 1. Okay? So I've actually got, instead of 3 terms at the end, I've only got 2 terms. Anyway, if you follow the process, first outers, inners, last, and then collect like terms, you'll get to that point. You might notice though that with this expression, or I guess with that expression, both sets of brackets are exactly the same. The only difference is one has plus sign, one has a minus sign. If you ever have that, it's called a difference of perfect squares, but we're going to look at that later, so don't worry too much. And you'll get to, just a two-term expression in the end. But we're going to focus on that later when we do some factorizing. Right. I'll do two more examples. I know it's a lot to take in, guys. So just quickly, the next example here is 2x. Take one, and then 3x plus 5. Again, first term from each bracket. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. The outer two terms, 2x times positive 5 is plus 10x. The inner terms, minus 1 times by 3x is minus 3x. And then the last term from each bracket is minus 1 times positive 5, which is minus 5. At this point, I have 4 terms in my expression. 2 of those are like terms, positive 10x and negative 3x. So I can simplify that by collecting those. 6x squared plus 7x, take 5. The last example I'm going to show you is a little bit more complicated. It's got a number and then 2 sets of brackets. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do the 2 sets of brackets first using the FOIL rule. So I'm just going to focus on this section first. So I'm still going to keep the 2 out the front. I'm going to have a bracket there because I'm going to go through the process of using the FOIL rule just with these 2 sets of brackets. So first term in each bracket, x times x, x squared. Outer terms, x times minus 2, minus 2x. Inners, minus 3 times x is minus 3x. Lasts, minus 3 times minus 2 becomes positive 6. Once I'm at that point, I can choose to do 2 things. I can multiply the term in front of the bracket by each term inside the bracket, or I can collect those like terms first and then use the distributive law. So let's collect those like terms first, just to make it a bit easier. 2 in brackets, x squared, take 5x plus 6, and then I do 2 times x squared, 2x squared, 2 times by negative 5x, which is minus 10x, and then 2 times by positive 6, which is positive 12. Okay? So that's the process there if you have, I guess, a term in front of the 2 brackets. The last one here I won't go through, but essentially I would do something similar. I would do this first set of brackets using the FOIL rule. Don't forget, in this, there is actually a term in front of those other brackets. Minus 1 is in front. So you'd have to do the FOIL rule here as well, and then multiply everything by minus 1, and then collect. Then there'd be lots of terms, and then collect any like terms. That'd be a little bit more complicated. If you get to that, I'm sure you'll be able to work that out anyway. Alright? So anyway, I'll end the video here. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.